Okay, 10/4/2016. What is it, Tuesday today? And you can tell from the title, I'm going to make a little analogy here. And if you really listen to it and think it out, it makes a lot of sense. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because lately it seems like there's a witch hunt that's on for the Clintons. Bill and Hillary. Everybody's talking about this pay-for-play scheme. Everybody's talking about the Clintons killing people. Everybody's talking about all these crimes that the Clintons have committed. And what I want to do is make an analogy between the Clintons and corporations like Walmart, large corporate affiliates in America and globally, and make the conclusion or the deduction that they're basically the same. If you really analyze them, you really look at it, they're really the same. Let's look at the first item here. Let's look at this pay for play. Okay, Hillary and Bill Clinton want money, okay? They want to be paid for access to their entourage, to their corporate connections, etc., etc. Okay, so you have to pay to get something in return, okay? Everybody thinks that that's some kind of a freaking crime. And what I'm saying is that big corporations do this all the time. Case in point, let's take Walmart. Walmart can go overseas because of its deep pockets, and they can put in an order for 50 million toy cars, let's say, and they can get them for a reduced price, okay? What about the guy Habib or Jules or Matthew that owns a little toy store down the street, and he can't buy the amount of units that Walmart can buy? He can only buy maybe 1,000 units. So he has to pay a lot more per unit. Okay, well, isn't that pay for play? Isn't that pay for play? It's the same thing if you analyze it. You gotta pay money, okay, to get something in your favor. But see, what happens now is that all these corporations have convinced people that buying things on a volume large basis is just business. It's not unfair competition. We're better than the rest of the people. Walmart is better than the small guy, Matthew, Jules, Habib, whoever owns the toy store. We're better. No, you're unfair, and you're using your leverage to compete unfairly. It's plain and simple pay for play. But the Clintons keep getting heat for it every day, all the time. And it's the same deal as all these other corporations are engaging in. Okay, second point, let's take from another point. A lot of people say, oh, the Clintons go out and murder people. They murder people all the time. Okay, let's look at this in another way. Let's look at the veterans and the military officers, infantry, I don't know what their ranks are, people that they send to war in Afghanistan, Libya, and all kinds of other these places that just get slaughtered en masse. Okay, is there any difference? You know that they're over there fighting for the corporations, right? But people always want to support the troops. We got to support the troops, but you know, we got to bag on the Clintons. What's the difference? What's the difference? Okay, here's another point. What about when Walmart, okay, or some of these large corporations hire out to these sweatshops in Asia where they're basically working kids and adults and juveniles into death and into certain types of health ailments that are forcing them into early retirement and or severe sickness or illness? Isn't that sort of like a death murder type thing? Oh, but it's done economically and it's done overseas, so nobody sees that. Case in point, here's another case in point. When after I graduated from college, okay, I went to work for a big, huge conglomerate corporation. Big, huge conglomerate. Okay, the president of the office that I was in, or the division that I was in, the president, while I was working for them, had a heart attack. Had a heart attack, almost died, had to take time off of work. And this is why. That guy would be in the office. I would sometimes have late nights at the office, which I thought was unfair, but you know, again, it's pay to play. Come and be a slave, and then you're gonna get something out of it. That's how it goes. This guy was in there 9 o'clock at night. You come back in the next morning, 7, 8 o'clock, he'd already be there. They overworked him to death. like a donkey with a carrot on a stick, waving it in front of him and making him run that treadmill. Get on that fucking treadmill and tread. But they don't call that death or murder or inflicted illness or homicide or assault or battery. They don't call it that. What do they call it? Business. So, you know, a lot of these terms that are being floated around and thrown around right now are inexchangeable for other terms, where they call it business, where they call it crime, where they call it corruption. And I'm not coming out and endorsing the Clintons in any way, shape, or form. What I'm saying to everybody out there is before we start throwing these terms around, before we start throwing these names around, let's look at it pragmatically, and let's look at all the names or all the definitions that might constitute the same activity, actions, and behaviors. And if we're going to look at it, let's look at it reasonably. Okay? That's what I'm saying. So my thing is, hey, the Clintons are no different than Walmart. Clintons are doing their thing. Walmart's doing their thing. Target's doing their thing. I mean, if you want to look at some serious breaches of law, international treaties, environmental regulations, I mean, look at Apple Computer. I mean, oh my goodness. Disinfowars, we've been writing about them over the last month, and there's a class action lawsuit filed against those guys every other effing day. And the bottom line is that no corporation, Apple here, I'm expressly talking about, no corporation gives a damn about the people. No politician gives a damn about the people. Nobody gives a rat's ass about anybody that's underneath them. And that's the way the world is structured right now. And until the people at the bottom wake up, well, then it's probably going to operate in the same manner. But what I'm saying is that to take the Clintons out and exclusively witch hunt them, and they're engaged in the same activities as everybody else is, isn't that a little biased? Isn't that a little unfair? You know? And again, I'm not supporting the Clintons, I'm not. But what I will support is this. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton pulled off, Slick Willie, pulls off one of the greatest lines ever in the history of politics. Still to this day, I can't believe that he actually got the people to believe him, not only believe him, but to clap and applaud for what he said. He gets on national television. Remember this? National television. I think it was on the Arsenio Hall show. And he said, I tried to smoke weed. I tried to smoke, but I didn't inhale. And the crowd applauded. The crowd applauded. Yeah, and he goes, I tried. And they believed him. Are you kidding me? That goes down in the Hall of Fame as the greatest political line ever of all time. So all I'm saying is that when you look at all this criminality, when you look at all these different things, hey, take a moment to laugh about it, you know. If all these crazy things are going to be going on in the world, shouldn't we just take a moment just to laugh a little bit? I mean, really. And I just think that's funny. I told people when that happened, I said, oh, look out for this guy, Slick Willie. And sure enough, what was it, a year, 2 years, 4 years later? Monica Lewinsky pops up. And I said, I told you guys. And I remember at the time, nobody would believe me, the smoke but didn't inhale. And I remember there was one Mexican guy I was talking to. I don't know where I was at. I think it was at a pool hall or something. And there was one Mexican, one of the locals was hanging out there. He had the tats all his neck and all this stuff. And I was just bullshitting with him. And I was like, hey man, did you see a thing that Clinton said when he smoked? But he didn't inhale. And he goes, Holmes, man, he's full of shit, Holmes. I'll never forget that. I'm going, oh man, you get it. And that was the only guy that got it. But you know what? Sometimes those guys that you think don't know anything about anything, okay, they are a lot more perceptive than you would ever know. And it's funny because he was the only guy that got it, that figured it out. And I just think the whole thing's funny. I smoked, but I didn't inhale. Yay, Bill, yay. Oh, man. Okay, that's my thing for today. I didn't expect to do a video, but hey, that's how it flows sometimes. 10/4/2016, Tuesday. Have a good one, guys.